Countries compete to host the World Cup. Most lose billions doing it. Right now, the 2026 World Cup is happening across the US, Mexico, and Canada. FIFA is projecting $13 billion in revenue from this cycle. And I kept thinking about one question. Who is actually paying for all of this? Because here's what I found when I started looking into it. FIFA doesn't build the stadiums. FIFA doesn't pay for security, transport, or fan festivals. The host country does. The host cities do. And in exchange, FIFA keeps the revenue, broadcasting rights, sponsorships, and ticket income. The host gets the bill. FIFA gets the money. And yet countries keep competing with each other to sign this deal. So what exactly are they buying? To understand how lopsided this is, you have to look at what's in the contract. Some host city agreements have now been made public after years of legal battles. What they show is this: cities pay for everything: security, transport, stadium upgrades, street beautification. FIFA retains all commercial rights, broadcasting, sponsorships, and ticket sales. One legal analysis described it simply: you do, you pay, we take. Cities have to sign these terms before the US, Mexico, and Canada even submitted their bid in 2017. The contract came first, the bid came second, and right now, US host cities are facing collective shortfall of over $250 million, while FIFA is on track to collect $13 billion from the same event. This isn't a modern accident. The shape of this deal goes back almost a century, to the first time a country realized what hosting could actually be used for. In 1934, in Italy with Mussolini, when Italy hosted the 1934 World Cup, he wasn't thinking about profit. He funded stadiums across 8 cities, plastered the country with propaganda posters, and attended every one of Italy's matches. Italy won, and Mussolini got something money can't buy: the image of a strong, unified nation broadcast to the watching world. The deal was never about money. What countries think they're buying is visibility, prestige, the feeling for 1 month that the whole world is watching you. And it's never just one thing. Tourism, national pride, political capital, international image, they all pull in the same direction at once, which is exactly why the financial reality gets buried under them. But that still doesn't explain why the numbers keep escalating. Something structural is driving this. Economists call this the winner's curse. The country most likely to win a hosting bid is the one most willing to believe its own optimism. What research found is that bids with accurate forecasts tend to lose because accurate forecasts can't compete with promises. And here's why it keeps repeating. The person who signs the bid captures the prestige. The taxpayer pays the invoice. A decade later, that gap between who decides and who pays is that what keeps the system running cycle after cycle. And the evidence of what this produces has been sitting in plain sight for decades. Brazil, 2014, total cost an estimated $11.6 billion. The most expensive stadium, the Mané Garrincha in Brasilia, cost somewhere between $550 and $900 million to build, depending on which audit you trust. It ended up as a bus parking lot in a city with no top division football club. And for years after the tournament, it cost the government up to $800,000 a month just to maintain. After the tournament, a senior FIFA official was reportedly asked about the empty stadiums. His response, according to journalists, present that Brazil's problem, not a footballing one. It was 12 of the last 14 World Cups were not financially profitable for the host country. So the question isn't what went wrong, it's why this outcome was the expected one from the start. To win the bid, you had to promise the numbers would work. The system doesn't produce failures, it produces winners who were always going to overpay. Brazil is only one example because not every buyer is playing the same game. Russia, 2018. Qatar, 2022. Saudi Arabia, already confirmed for 2034. For these governments, the financial return was never the point. They were buying legitimacy, a seat at the table, the chance to stand next to the world leaders and be treated like one. In Russia, anti-government protests were banned by presidential decree for the entire duration of the tournament. In Qatar, the country's own Supreme Committee Secretary General went on live television and stated that between 400 and 500 workers had died in connection with World Cup preparations. Human rights organizations documented workers arriving in Qatar and handing over their passports to their employers at the airport. Under the system in place, many couldn't leave the country without permission. Human Rights Watch visited labor camps where up to 18 workers shared a single room, sleeping in bunk beds. Some had no drinkable water. Both governments disputed the full characterization of those figures. Both got the global stage. So you have two types of buyers in the same system. Countries that overbid because they believe the economics will work, and countries that don't need the economics to work at all. But here's what unifies them. FIFA sells one thing: a month of broadcast time in front of the entire world. Some countries price that in economic terms, others price it in political terms. The currency is different, the product is the same, the seller accepts both. FIFA has 211 member nations, more than the United Nations. It writes the contract, it sets the terms, it keeps the revenue. From the 4 years leading up to Qatar 2022, that one tournament generated 83% of every dollar FIFA earned across the entire cycle, $6.3 billion, from an event it didn't build, in a country it didn't govern, using infrastructure it didn't pay for. The host country paid for the stadiums. FIFA kept the broadcasting deal. So here's the question I kept coming back to. Why does every country think it will be the exception? When a host country loses money, and most do, that doesn't weaken FIFA's position, it strengthens it. The vacancy fills immediately. 3 other countries compete to be next. Every failed host creates a more eager bidder, and the only party that doesn't compete is the one that never loses a match.